The room fell silent as Elder Zorax rose from his seat. His gray skin wrinkled with age, and his 4 eyes blinked slowly as he looked at each member of the Galactic Council. The 7 representatives from the most powerful spacefaring nations waited for his words. "The motion before this council is clear," Zorax said, his voice deep and resonant. "We must issue our strongest warning yet. All contact with the planet called Earth must be avoided." Ambassador Krell of the Meridian Alliance leaned forward. "Is such an extreme measure really needed? They are barely spacefaring. Their technology is primitive." "It is not their technology we fear," Elder Zorax replied. "It is their nature. 3 civilizations that made contact with humans in the past century have fallen. Humans adapt too quickly. They learn too eagerly. They fight too fiercely." The council chamber sat at the center of a massive space station that orbited a neutral star. Elaborate carvings covered the walls, showing the history of galactic cooperation. But now the mood was tense. "Let the record show," Zorax continued, "that as of today, Earth is classified as a Level 1 restricted world. Any ship that approaches their solar system will face severe punishment." The vote was unanimous. The warning would go out to all ships in the galaxy. But for Captain Laura Bennett, the warning came too late. Laura stood on the bridge of her ship, the Celestial Horizon. It was small compared to the warships of the Vraxian fleet, but perfect for exploration. She was tall for a Vraxian, with light blue skin that marked her as from the southern continent. She had served as an explorer for 15 years, mapping unknown regions of space. "Captain, we're picking up unusual signals," said Officer Andrew Carter. His fingers moved quickly over the control panel. "They're coming from the 3rd planet in this system." Laura walked over to his station. The star system had seemed unremarkable when they entered it 3 days ago. Just another routine mapping mission on the edge of known space. "What kind of signals?" she asked. "Artificial, definitely from an intelligent species." Andrew looked up at her with excitement in his eyes. "Should we investigate?" Laura thought for a moment. Protocol was clear. When discovering signs of intelligent life, they were to observe from a distance and report back to the Council. But they were already here, and the Council was 5 weeks of travel away. "Prepare a small team," she decided. "We'll send them down to observe. No contact unless absolutely necessary." Laura didn't know that at that exact moment, the Council was classifying Earth as too dangerous to approach. Science Officer Peter Wells led the small team that took the scout ship down to Earth's surface. They chose a remote area with mountains and forests, far from the large human settlements. Their technology made the small ship invisible to Earth's primitive scanning systems. They set up their observation post inside a cave, using technology to hide the entrance. Their mission was simple: watch, listen, and learn about the humans without being seen. "Their communications network is impressive for their technology level," said Peter as he monitored the signals they were receiving. "They call it the Internet. It carries an incredible amount of information." For 3 weeks, the team observed. They learned the humans' languages, studied their cultures, and watched their interactions. They were fascinated by human creativity and concerned by human violence. They fight wars over resources, religion, and politics, Peter noted in his daily report. But they also create beautiful art, music, and literature. They are a study in contradictions. On the celestial horizon, Laura finally received the Council's message. Her blood ran cold as she read the warning. "Urgent. Avoid all contact with planet Earth. Level 1 restriction." The message detailed incidents from previous civilizations that had ignored similar warnings. All had either been conquered or destroyed within a single generation of contact with humans. The message explained that humans, despite their primitive technology, possessed something the elders feared: unpredictable adaptability combined with relentless determination. Laura immediately sent an encrypted emergency message to Peter's team. "Abort mission. Return to ship immediately. Council has classified Earth as Level 1 restricted." The response time should have been minutes, but no response came. "Try again," Laura ordered Communications Officer Nina Patel. "Priority channel. After the third attempt, a broken transmission finally came through. Peter's voice sounded tense. "Captain, situation complicated. Observation post compromised. Humans detected our presence. The transmission broke up into static, then returned, not hostile yet, attempting to maintain peaceful, then silence. Get them back," Laura ordered. Nina tried every channel, but nothing worked. Something was blocking their communications. Laura faced a terrible choice. The Council's warning was clear. Earth was dangerous, contact was forbidden. The correct action would be to leave orbit immediately and report the situation. But her team was down there. 5 of her crew members were now in contact with a species the Council feared enough to place under the highest restriction. "Prepare. My shuttle," Laura decided. "I'm going down there," Officer Andrew protested. "Captain, the Council's warning." "I know what the warning says," Laura cut him off. "But I won't abandon our people. You have command until I return. If we're not back in 3 days, leave orbit and report to the Council." As Laura's shuttle descended toward Earth's atmosphere, she couldn't know that her decision would change the fate of 2 civilizations forever. On Earth, Peter and his team were no longer alone in their cave. Their technology had failed. Or perhaps, human technology had advanced faster than expected. Either way, they had visitors. "We mean no harm," Peter said slowly, using the human English language he had learned from their transmissions. The humans pointing weapons at them didn't seem convinced. There were 8 of them, wearing what Peter recognized as military uniforms. Their leader, a man with short gray hair and stern eyes, stepped forward. "Who are you? And why are you observing us?" he asked. Before Peter could answer, one of the other humans spoke. "Sir, you need to see this." He held up a small device that was scanning the Vraxian technology. "This tech is like nothing we've ever seen." The leader studied Peter and his team with new interest. "I think it's time we had a proper conversation," he said. "I'm Agent Frank Miller of Earth Defense Intelligence, and you just became our guests." Peter knew then that the Council's warning had come too late. Contact had already been made. Now they had to face whatever came next. Meanwhile, Laura's shuttle was approaching Earth, unaware that the situation had already spiraled beyond her control. The warning had been clear. Avoid Earth at all costs. But it was already too late. Peter Wells woke up in a white room. The lights were too bright and his head hurt. He tried to move his arms but found them secured to the bed he was lying on. He was still wearing his environment suit, but they had taken away all his equipment. The docker slid open and Agent Frank Miller walked in. He pulled a chair next to the bed and sat down. For a long moment he just looked at Peter, studying the alien's blue skin and large eyes. "Let's try this again," Frank said. "Who are you and why were you watching us?" Peter knew the protocols for this situation. If discovered, tell the truth but reveal as little as possible. Avoid causing panic or fear. "My name is Peter Wells. That is the closest pronunciation in your language. I am a science officer from the planet Vraxia. We are explorers." Frank leaned back in his chair. "Explorers who hide in caves and spy on us? We follow protocols for observing developing worlds," Peter explained. "Direct contact is not allowed until a species reaches certain technological and social milestones." Frank's expression didn't change. "And who decides these milestones?" "The Galactic Council. They govern relations between spacefaring species. For the next week, Peter answered questions. Frank seemed most interested in Vraxian technology, especially their faster-than-light travel and their medical technology. Peter was careful not to reveal too much, but he could tell that Frank was smart. The human picked up concepts quickly. When not being questioned by Frank, Peter worried about his team. He hadn't seen them since they were captured. He also wondered if Captain Laura had received his broken message. In another part of the facility, Dr. Olivia Martinez was examining the medical device they had found in the alien's cave. It was small, about the size of a tablet computer, but it could scan a human body and show detailed information about every organ, every cell. "This is amazing," she told her assistant. "Their medical technology is centuries ahead of ours." She placed her hand on the scanner. The screen showed a perfect image of the bones, muscles, and blood vessels in her hand. Then it highlighted a small dark spot. Precancerous cells. The device reported in its translated voice. Treatment recommended. Olivia stared at the screen. She had no symptoms, no reason to suspect anything was wrong. But if the device was right, it had just detected cancer before any human technology could have found it. In yet another lab, engineer Scott Davis was studying the alien's communication device. It used principles he didn't understand, but he was learning. The device seemed to send signals without any delay, even across vast distances. If we could replicate this, he told the military officers watching him work, we could communicate instantly with anyone anywhere on Earth, maybe even beyond. Frank Miller sat in his office reviewing the reports from all the labs. The alien's technology was revolutionary. It could change everything about human life, from medicine to communications to energy production. But something bothered him. If these aliens were just peaceful explorers, why had the message they intercepted mentioned a warning? Why had their captain ordered them to leave immediately? Frank went back to Peter's room. Your captain received a message about Earth, Frank said without preamble. A warning to avoid contact with us. Why? Peter hesitated. This was dangerous territory. But lying would only make things worse. I don't know the details, he finally said. But yes, we received an urgent message from our council classifying Earth as restricted. Why would they do that? I don't know, it's unusual. Level 1 restrictions are rare. Frank leaned forward. What happens to species under these restrictions? Before Peter could answer, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed in the hallway. Wait here, Frank said, as if Peter had a choice. Laura's shuttle had entered Earth's atmosphere using stealth technology. Her plan was simple. Find Peter's team, extract them, and leave before the humans noticed. But Earth's detection systems were better than expected. Unidentified aircraft, you have entered restricted airspace, a voice said over the radio. Identify yourself immediately or you will be shot down. Laura was surprised they could detect her, let alone communicate on her frequency. These humans were more advanced than reported. This is Captain Laura Bennett, she replied. I am on a peaceful mission. I'm looking for my crew members who are on your planet. There was a pause before the voice responded. Captain Bennett, alter your course to these coordinates. You will be met by an escort. Laura had little choice. If she tried to run, they might shoot her down. And she still didn't know where Peter and his team were being held. She followed the coordinates and soon saw 2 human aircraft flanking her shuttle. They guided her to a large facility built into a mountain. As she landed on a marked pad, she saw dozens of armed humans surrounding her shuttle. Inside the facility, Frank Miller received word of the second alien craft. Their captain just flew right into our hands, he told his superior on the phone. Yes, sir. We'll bring her to the same facility. When Laura was brought into the building, Frank was waiting for her. Captain Bennett, I presume, he said. I'm Agent Frank Miller. Your crew is safe. Laura was taller than the humans, and her blue skin made her stand out sharply against the gray walls of the facility. I want to see them, she demanded. All in. Good time, Frank replied. First, we have questions. Like why your council suddenly decided Earth was too dangerous to contact. Laura felt a chill. They knew about the warning. It's complicated, she said. We have time, Frank answered. But maybe not as much as you think. Our scientists are already studying your technology. The medical device alone has revolutionized our understanding of disease treatment and your communication system. Our engineers are fascinated. Laura realized the situation was worse than she had feared. The humans weren't just holding her crew, they were learning from them. This was exactly what the elders had warned about. You don't understand, Laura said urgently. The warning was sent for a reason. The council believes humans are dangerous. Frank's eyes narrowed. Dangerous to whom? To the Galactic Order, to established species. Because we learn too quickly? Adapt too well? Frank asked. Is that why we're dangerous? Laura didn't answer, but her silence told Frank what he needed to know. Let me show you something, Frank said. He led Laura to a large window overlooking a lab. Inside, Dr. Olivia was using the Vraxian medical device to scan a patient. That man has terminal cancer, Frank explained. Or he did, until your device found a way to treat it that our doctors never considered. 3 days ago, he was given 2 weeks to live. Now he's expected to make a full recovery. He led her to another window. Scott Davis was working with a team of engineers on the communication device. They've already figured out how to replicate parts of it, Frank said. By next week, they'll probably understand the whole thing. Laura understood then why the elders feared humans. It wasn't just that they learned quickly. It was that they did it together, building on each other's knowledge at an alarming rate. Your counsel was right to be worried, Frank said quietly. But it's too late for warnings now. We've made contact. The question is, what happens next? As if answering his question, an alarm sounded again. A voice came over the facility's speakers. Unknown objects detected entering Earth orbit. Multiple large vessels. Frank looked at Laura. Are these friends of yours? Laura's face showed fear. No. If the Council sent ships after receiving no response from us, they didn't send them to rescue us. Then why are they here? Frank asked. To make sure no one else makes the same mistake we did, Laura whispered. They're here to eliminate the threat. Frank's phone rang. The situation had just become much more complicated. The control room of the human facility buzzed with activity. Large screens showed the alien ships that had entered Earth's orbit. 7 massive vessels, each many times larger than Laura's exploration ship. Are those warships? Frank asked Laura, his voice tense. Laura nodded. Purifier-class vessels. They're only sent when the Council decides a situation cannot be resolved peacefully. Frank turned to his team. Alert all military commands worldwide. We need to prepare for possible attack. As people rushed to follow his orders, he turned back to Laura. You said they're here to eliminate the threat. What exactly does that mean? The purifiers have weapons that can change a planet's atmosphere, Laura explained. They can make Earth's air unbreathable for humans, while preserving the planet itself. Color drained from Frank's face. They would kill an entire species? It has happened before, Laura said quietly. When a species is deemed too dangerous to join the galactic community, but their planet has valuable resources. In another room, Peter and his team had been brought together. They watched the screens in horror as they recognized the purifier ships. This is extreme even for the Council, said Nina, the communications officer from Peter's team. They've never sent purifiers so quickly. Something isn't right, Peter agreed. The standard protocol would be to send a diplomatic vessel first, to attempt retrieval of any stranded explorers. Laura was thinking the same thing. The Council's response was too severe, too quick. She turned to Frank. I need access to my shuttle. I need to contact the fleet directly. Frank hesitated only briefly. If those ships are here to kill us all, I'll take any help I can get. They moved quickly to where Laura's shuttle sat under guard. Once inside, Laura activated a secure communication channel. This is Captain Laura Bennett of the exploration vessel Celestial Horizon, she transmitted. I request direct communication with the fleet commander. The response was immediate. A holographic image appeared of a stern Vraxian in a military uniform. Captain Bennett, he said coldly, you have violated Council directive by making contact with Earth. Your actions have forced this intervention. Commander, Laura replied, my crew was discovered accidentally. The situation can be resolved without extreme measures. You are mistaken, the commander said. Our orders come directly from the elders. Earth has been deemed too dangerous to continue existing as it is. We will begin atmospheric conversion in 12 Earth hours. When the transmission ended, Frank looked at Laura. 12 hours until they try to kill everyone on Earth? Laura nodded grimly. But something is wrong about this. The response is too extreme for an accidental contact. Back on the Celestial Horizon, Andrew Carter had been monitoring communications between the Purifier Fleet and Vraxian Central Command. As Laura's second-in-command, he had been ordered to maintain position at the edge of Earth's solar system. What he discovered in the encrypted messages alarmed him. The order to purify Earth had been given before Laura's team ever made contact. The Council had already decided Earth's fate, regardless of what happened with the exploration mission. Andrew made a decision. He sent an encrypted message to Laura's shuttle with his findings. Laura read Andrew's message with growing anger. "The elders lied," she told Frank. "The order to attack Earth was given before we ever made contact. This isn't about our mission at all." "Then what is it about?" Frank asked. "I don't know," Laura admitted, "but I intend to find out." Over the next few hours, humans around the world prepared for possible attack. Military forces were put on high alert. People in major cities were advised to stay indoors. In the facility, Dr. Olivia Martinez was working frantically with the Vraxian medical technology, trying to understand if it could help against an atmospheric attack. Engineer Scott Davis had made progress with the communication system and was now trying to adapt it to disrupt the Purifier ship's systems. Peter and his team worked with Laura to analyze the data Andrew had sent. They found references to resources on Earth that were rare in the galaxy, particularly something called fold elements that could revolutionize space travel. Earth sits on one of the largest deposits of fold elements in the known galaxy, Peter explained to Frank. With these elements, ships could travel between galaxies, not just within them. "So this isn't about us being dangerous," Frank said. "It's about taking our resources." "The elders must have known about the fold elements," Laura added. "They classified Earth as restricted not to protect the galaxy from humans, but to keep the elements for themselves." With just 6 hours remaining before the attack, they formed a desperate plan. Laura would return to the celestial horizon with a small team of humans, including Frank. From there, they would attempt to broadcast the truth to the Purifier fleet and to all Vraxian ships in the sector. Peter would remain on Earth with Dr. Olivia and Engineer Scott to prepare a backup defense plan, just in case the truth wasn't enough. As Laura's shuttle prepared to leave Earth, Peter approached her. "The humans learn quickly," he told her. "In just days, they've begun to understand technology that took us centuries to develop. The elders didn't lie about that part." "Is that a bad thing?" Laura asked. Peter smiled slightly. "I don't think so, but it scares them. Humans don't follow the normal patterns. They compete and fight among themselves, but they also cooperate in ways we don't. They build on each other's ideas instead of keeping knowledge separate." "You sound like you admire them," Laura observed. "I do," Peter admitted. "They're different, and maybe that's exactly what the galaxy needs." Laura's shuttle launched, evading detection by using the stealth technology that had failed before. The humans had helped improve it, showing Laura how their radar systems worked and how to better avoid them. As they left Earth's atmosphere, Frank looked down at his planet, blue and peaceful from space. "Will your people really listen?" he asked Laura. "Will they believe the elders lied?" "I don't know," Laura answered honestly. "But we have to try." The shuttle docked with the celestial horizon. Andrew was waiting for them, surprised to see humans aboard. "The situation has changed," Laura told him. "The elders have been lying to all of us. Together, they prepared the broadcast that would go to every Vraxian ship. It included the evidence Andrew had discovered, along with a message from Frank explaining that humans wanted peaceful contact. With just 1 hour remaining before the attack, Laura sent the broadcast. On the Purifier ships, the message caused confusion and debate. Some officers refused to believe the elders would lie. Others demanded verification. The fleet commander ordered an immediate communication with Vraxian Central Command. The response he received was troubling. Instead of addressing the evidence, the elders simply repeated the order to attack. The commander faced a difficult choice: follow orders that now seemed questionable, or delay the attack until the truth could be determined. On Earth, Peter watched the Purifier ships through a telescope. Their weapons were beginning to power up. Time was running out. "Is the defense system ready?" he asked Scott. "As ready as it can be," the human engineer replied. "But I don't know if it will be enough." The fate of Earth now depended on whether Laura's message would convince the Vraxians to question their orders and whether Peter and the humans could find a way to defend their planet if it didn't. On the bridge of the lead Purifier ship, Fleet Commander Darius stood before his crew. The message from Captain Laura had spread through the fleet, causing whispers of doubt among the officers. "Our orders are clear," Darius told them. "Earth has been deemed a threat by the Council. But Commander," his second-in-command said quietly, "the evidence suggests the elders lied about their reasons. Should we not at least investigate before taking such a final action?" Darius had served the Council faithfully for 30 years. He had never questioned orders before, but something about this mission had bothered him from the start. The urgency, the secrecy, the extreme measures authorized without the usual diplomatic attempts. "We will delay the attack by 6 hours, he finally decided. "I want to speak with this human representative personally." On the celestial horizon, Laura received the communication request from the Purifier fleet. "They want to talk to you," she told Frank. "This is good. It means they're at least considering our evidence." Frank nodded, but his expression remained worried. "What if they don't believe us?" "Then Earth still has Peter and your scientists working on defenses," Laura replied. "But I think some of the Vraxians are already having doubts. The Council has never moved this quickly to eliminate a species before." The communication link opened, and Commander Darius appeared on screen. His expression was stern as he studied Frank. "You claim the elders have hidden motives for ordering Earth's purification," Darius said without preamble. "What evidence do you have beyond the transmission timing?" Frank had prepared for this. "We've discovered why your council wants our planet. We have something called fold elements that your people value. Your own science officer confirmed it." He gestured, and Peter appeared on screen beside him. "Commander," Peter said respectfully, "the humans have allowed me to test soil samples. Earth has the largest concentration of fold elements I've ever seen in my career. According to Vraxian science, these elements could revolutionize space travel." Darius frowned. "That alone is not proof of the elders' deception." "Then explain this," Laura interjected, sending another file. "These are past records of planets classified as restricted. 3 other worlds with large fold element deposits were similarly classified, then later purified after accidental contact." Darius examined the data, his frown deepening. "This requires verification." "While you verify, let me show you something else," Frank said. He sent images from Earth showing humans and Vraxians working together. Dr. Olivia using the medical device to treat patients, Engineer Scott and Nina modifying communication systems. "In just days, our species have begun to cooperate," Frank continued. "We're learning from each other. If your elders are willing to destroy an entire species for resources, what does that say about their leadership?" On Earth, Peter was working with Dr. Olivia and Engineer Scott on their backup plan. They had modified the Vraxian medical technology to analyze the atmospheric converters the purifiers would use. "If they do attack," Peter explained, "they'll release particles that bind to oxygen molecules, making them too heavy for humans to breathe. But these particles are vulnerable to a specific frequency of electromagnetic energy." "Like a giant EMP?" Scott asked. "Similar, but much more targeted," Peter replied. "We need to build emitters large enough to cover major population centers." Olivia looked up from her calculations. "With the materials we have, we can protect maybe 20% of Earth's population." Scott shook his head. "Not good enough. We need to think bigger." He called in more engineers and scientists. Within hours, they had people around the world, building emitters based on Peter's designs, using whatever materials they could find. It was a desperate race against time, but something remarkable was happening. Humans from different countries, different religions, different political systems were all working together. Old enemies shared resources and information. Scientists freely gave away their discoveries instead of patenting them. Peter watched in amazement. "This is what the elders feared," he told Olivia. "Not your technology, but this, your ability to unite in crisis, to cooperate on a global scale when faced with extinction." Back on the celestial horizon, Laura and Frank waited anxiously for Commander Darius's decision. The 6-hour delay was almost up. "We should return to Earth," Frank said. "If he decides to attack, I should be with my people." "No," Laura replied firmly. "You're more valuable here as Earth's representative. If we can convince even some of the purifier ships to stand down, it will improve Earth's chances. The communication screen lit up. Commander Darius appeared, his expression unreadable. I have reviewed your evidence, he said. I have also received new orders from the Council. They claim your accusations are false and order immediate purification of Earth. Frank's heart sank. But Darius wasn't finished. However, I find the Council's reaction troubling. They refuse to address the evidence directly. Instead, they threaten severe punishment for any delay. The commander straightened, his decision made. I am ordering my fleet to stand down from attack positions. I request permission to send a diplomatic team to Earth to investigate the fold element deposits and establish proper first contact protocols. Laura could hardly believe what she was hearing. A Vraxian commander was defying direct orders from the Council. Permission granted, Frank said quickly. We welcome your diplomatic team. But the victory was short-lived. Alarms sounded throughout the celestial horizon. Captain, Andrew called urgently. 3 ships from the Purifier fleet are breaking formation. They're moving into attack position. On an Uyadeto screen they could see Commander Darius shouting orders. This is Commander Darius to all Vraxian vessels. Stand down. I have not authorized attack. But the 3 ships continued their approach toward Earth. They had decided to follow the Council's orders regardless of their commander's decision. Those ships are under control of Council loyalists, Laura explained to Frank. They won't disobey. The Elders, even if their direct commander orders it. On Earth, Peter saw the 3 ships approaching through the observatory telescope. They're coming, he told the humans working with him. Activate the emitters. Around the world, the hastily built devices powered up. They weren't as refined as Peter had hoped, and they wouldn't cover the entire planet. But they were humanity's best chance. Commander Darius ordered the loyal ships in his fleet to intercept the 3 rogue vessels. But they would not reach them before the attack on Earth began. Send a warning to all Earth governments, Peter told Olivia. People need to get indoors and seal their homes as best they can. As the 3 purifier ships entered Earth's atmosphere, they began releasing the particles that would make the air unbreathable. Gray clouds spread from the vessels as they moved over the planet. The emitters activated, creating invisible fields that neutralized the particles. In cities where emitters had been built, the gray clouds dissipated, but there weren't enough emitters to protect everyone. In orbit, Laura and Frank watched helplessly as parts of Earth were enveloped in the deadly clouds. Is there anything else we can do? Frank asked, his voice breaking. Laura looked at the weapons, systems of the celestial horizon. It was an exploration vessel not designed for combat, but it did have defensive capabilities. Andrew, she ordered. Target the purifier ship's propulsion systems. If we can't destroy them, maybe we can at least slow them down until Commander Darius's loyal ships arrive. The celestial horizon moved into position, a small vessel preparing to face warships many times its size. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, dependent on the courage of both humans and Vraxians who were willing to defy the established order. The celestial horizon shook as it fired upon the first purifier ship. The small exploration vessel was never designed for combat against warships, but Laura had no choice. Earth's survival depended on slowing down the attack. Direct hit on their propulsion system, Andrew reported. Their speed is reduced by 30%. But the other 2 purifier ships quickly noticed the attack. They turned some of their weapons toward the celestial horizon, while continuing to release the deadly particles into Earth's atmosphere. Evasive maneuvers, Laura ordered as the warships fired. The celestial horizon rolled and dodged, but it couldn't avoid all the incoming fire. Shields at 60%, Andrew called out as the ship shuddered under the impact. We can't take much more of this. Frank stood on the bridge, watching his planet being attacked. Parts of Earth were now covered in gray clouds where the atmospheric converters were working. In other areas, the human-built emitters were successfully neutralizing the particles. Can we contact Peter? Frank asked. I need to know how many people are protected by the emitters. Laura nodded to Nina, who established a communication link to Earth. Peter's face appeared on screen. He looked tired but determined. The emitters are working better than expected. We're covering about 40% of the population now. People in unprotected areas are sealing their homes and using oxygen supplies. What about Commander Darius? Laura asked. Are his loyal ships coming to help? They're engaging the third purifier ship in Earth's orbit, Peter replied. But the other two are still releasing particles. On Earth, the situation was both desperate and inspiring. As gray clouds spread across unprotected regions, people were helping each other find shelter. Those with sealed homes welcomed strangers. Hospitals shared oxygen supplies. Even in the face of possible extinction, humanity showed its best qualities. Doctor, Olivia was working with a team to improve the emitter's range. If we can boost the power by linking the electrical grids of multiple countries, we might be able to expand coverage to 60%, she explained to Peter. Engineer Scott had another idea. What if we use the Vraxian communication technology to synchronize all the emitters? We could create a resonance effect that might extend the coverage even further. Peter nodded. It's worth trying. The particles respond to specific frequencies. If we can generate the exact counter-frequency globally, we might neutralize more of them. In space, the battle continued. Commander Darius's loyal ships had managed to disable one of the rogue purifier vessels, but two were still attacking. The celestial horizon had taken heavy damage but remained operational. Captain, Nina called to Laura. We're receiving a transmission from Vraxian Central Command. Laura was surprised. Put it through. The stern face of Elder Zorax appeared on screen. He looked angry. Captain Bennett, you have committed treason against the Council. Commander Darius has similarly betrayed his oath. You will both face severe punishment for these actions. Laura stood tall despite the ship shaking from another hit. The only betrayal here is the Council's lies. You didn't classify Earth as dangerous because of its people. You wanted its resources for yourselves. The fold elements are too valuable to be left in the hands of an unpredictable species. Zorax replied coldly. The Council's decision was for the greater good of galactic stability. By killing billions of innocent beings? Frank stepped into Kyoryu. That's not stability. That's genocide for profit. Zorax's eyes narrowed as he saw the human. This conversation is over. The purification will continue. The transmission ended. They're not even denying it anymore. Laura said quietly. They're openly admitting they want Earth's resources. The ship rocked violently as another blast hit them. Shields at 20%, Andrew reported. One more direct hit and we're done. Laura made a quick decision. Send all our evidence about the Council's true motives to every Vraxian ship and colony. If the Council won't listen to reason, maybe the Vraxian people will. Nina quickly began the transmission. It included all the data about the fold elements, the pattern of restricted planets being purified, and the Elders' admission of their true motives. On Earth, Peter, Olivia, and Scott had succeeded in linking the emitters through the Vraxian communication technology. The coverage had expanded to nearly 70% of the population. It's working, Olivia said excitedly as they watched the gray clouds dissipate over newly protected areas. The resonance effect is neutralizing the particles faster than they can be released. But there were still regions without protection, where people were running out of oxygen in their sealed shelters. Time was running out for millions of humans. In orbit, Commander Darius received Laura's broadcast. He immediately forwarded it to all ships in his fleet with his own message attached. The Council has betrayed our principles. We are sworn to protect civilization, not destroy it for resources. I call upon all Vraxian officers to stand with me against this injustice. One by one, the remaining loyal ships in the Purifier fleet ceased their attacks. Even some of the officers on the rogue ships began to question their orders. On the lead rogue ship, a young officer named Vex confronted his captain. Sir, have you seen the evidence? We're not protecting the galaxy. We're helping the Elders steal resources. Orders are orders, the captain replied sharply. The Council's decisions are not for us to question. But sir, Vex insisted, our oath is to protect civilization. How is killing billions protecting anything? Around him, other officers nodded in agreement. The captain looked at their faces, and realized he was losing control of his crew. The celestial horizon was preparing for what might be its final stand when the weapons fire from the purifier ships suddenly stopped. "They've ceased attacking," Andrew reported in disbelief. A transmission came through from the lead rogue ship. It was Officer Vex, not the captain. "This is Acting Commander Vex. We are standing down. The evidence of the Council's deception is too clear to ignore." Laura and Frank exchanged looks of hope. One by one, all the purifier ships withdrew from Earth's atmosphere, ending the release of the deadly particles. On Earth, the emitters continued to neutralize the particles that had already been released. Gradually, the gray clouds dispersed completely. The immediate danger had passed. 3 days later, representatives from Earth met with Commander Darius and the other Vraxian officers who had defied the Council. They gathered in a large conference room at the facility where Peter had first been held. "The Council has demanded your surrender and Earth's submission," Darius told the human representatives, "but their authority has been severely undermined. Many Vraxian colonies are now questioning the Elders' leadership." "What happens now?" Frank asked. "Now we build something new," Laura suggested. "Not just relations between humans and Vraxians, but a new approach to galactic cooperation. One based on mutual respect, not control and fear." Peter smiled as he watched humans and Vraxians talking together, sharing ideas, making plans. This was exactly what the Elders had feared, and exactly what the galaxy needed. The warning to avoid Earth had come too late. Contact had been made. And because of that contact, both civilizations now had the chance to grow in ways neither could have achieved alone. As Dr. Olivia and a Vraxian medical officer discussed combining their knowledge to cure diseases, as Engineer Scott and Nina explored new applications of quantum communication, as military officers from both species planned joint defense strategies, the future began to take shape. It would not be the future the Elders had wanted. It would be something better.